Okay. Ethereal synchronicity 444. Reporting to you, the world, from my home to wherever you are on the globe. I'm gonna give you a little. The scenery is actually pretty nice, to say the least. Let me slow it down for you. Slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. Right, anyway. Yeah. This here is a illustrated version of the solar system. And there's a specific reason that I drew it, or yeah, like this. And it's just to basically illustrate how, well, it's not a scale picture, but how far and away certain planets are from the sun and how close other ones are. Now, I take it for granted that if you're watching my video, then there's a good chance that you could probably go onto Google and get images of the solar system, and you'll find many different various colours, formats, shapes, sizes, and, you know, fashions. But anyway, this is just my quick hand-drawn version of it, because we know you get things down just to brass tacks. What you got there in the middle, see if I can get my hands correctly, here is you've got the sun, and the sun is at the centre of our solar system. And then what you've got here next, these are just the symbols or the glyphs, which I've done in the video prior to this. So this glyph here is Mercury, and that's the closest planet to the sun. Then you've got Venus, that is following Mercury in distance from the sun. And then you've got planet Earth, where we live, the third rock from the sun, as they say. And around Earth, what you see every night is the moon. Now, the moon goes around the Earth and actually takes, you know, between 27 and 29 days, like 28 days to go around the Earth. And what's happening is the Earth is actually rotating every day, which is causing the effect of night and day on the planet. So it's just the fact that wherever you are on the Earth will spin towards the sun in the morning and away from the sun in the evening, and that's why there's no light on Earth. That's why you get night and day. So anyway, the moon has the same relationship with the Earth as it goes round the Earth, and it takes 1 month. And if you want to know how this is important, your birthday on Earth, or Earth Day, as many people call it, is basically the day you were born. Wherever the Earth was, the Earth goes all the way around and gets back to where it was in the sky when you were born. And that's why there's a significance to the planets in the sky and where they all are and what they all mean and what they all do, and you know how it works, because everybody's birthday in matters of time are all lined up through this circular motion, which correlates to 360 degrees, which is also the same principle of which the zodiac is drawn up itself. So anyway, let me get back to these planets. You've got Mars after Earth, and that's a symbol for Mars that people might be familiar with. Venus and Mars are probably the most common symbols. The moon's probably quite recognisable, and the sun is, you know, possibly what it is. But anyway, Mars takes longer than any of these planets to go around, because it's got a longer distance to travel, and naturally Mercury takes the quickest time. It's got the shortest distance to travel. So after Mars, you've got Jupiter, and Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. I'll give you a full view, sorry. And it's known as the big red giant of a planet, and it takes a lot longer than Mars to go around, and it's actually quite a lot further away. As I say, this picture is not to scale, but it's just to represent what it is in some kind of fashion, what astrologers are looking at. So then you've got Saturn on the outer limit of things. And the reason why Saturn specifically placed after Jupiter, well, not specifically placed after it, because that's just where it is, but like why it's the outer limit on this particular page that I've drawn, is that it actually represents what we could see with the human eye. And before the invention of the telescope and things to see further of that nature, we was not able to see as far as Uranus, which was discovered in 1781, and I think memory says March the 13th, and then, you know, nearly 100 years later, not 100 but about 75, Neptune was discovered. I think that was September the 23rd roughly, and then only in 1930, which might seem like a really long time ago to use maybe watching this video, but in terms of relative recent time in history, not that long ago, and Pluto was discovered, and I think that was around 18th of February, so that's why I've wrote that there. So anyway, the point being, the next furthest in distance would be Uranus after Saturn, then after that would be Neptune, that would be further away on the next ring, and then Pluto. But you cannot see these planets without a telescope. I mean, maybe Uranus just at a push, a slight dot, if you know what you're looking for. But if not, there's a good chance that you're not going to see Uranus. So, I mean, that is the real outer limit. Now, I could talk about a planet, or it's not even considered a planet, possibly asteroid, possibly dwarf planet. Is considered not, you know, the same as the rest. And that planet is Chiron. Yeah? And Chiron, believe it or not, is actually the bridge between Saturn and Uranus in so many ways. I'll get deeper into that at some stage later in this, you know, YouTube diary channel, career blogging, talking of the planets and their natures. But for the time being, I just wanted to explain, although Chiron is not on the picture, neither is Ceres and some of the other actual bodies that actually exist in the solar system. These are the main bodies. Now, as I say, before 1781 and a good time before it, astrologers basically only considered what you see here. So traditional astrology, basically, to the real purist traditionalists of the old school art, they'd only use from the sun up to Saturn. So Sun, Mercury, Venus, Moon, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. And even in Vedic, which is the more Eastern based philosophy of astrology, they would only use traditionally these planets as well. It's only now that things have moved ahead and both of the schools of thoughts are kind of merged through the time of people going through teachings of both, teaching it to other people and passing it down, and accepted, what can I say, the accepted curricula. Things have been monitored and measured over time. They didn't just discover these planets and throw them into the astrological school of thought. There was a good while and a debate about what planet does what and can it be added. So after some time, like I say, these outer planets were adjusted into the astrological books and the studies. But things like Chiron, which was discovered much more recently, like in 1977, they are, you know, even harder to find information on, as it's very recent in relative terms. In fact, it's half of a Uranus transit pretty much, and that's something we could probably get into deeper. Uranus's transit is 84 years roughly. Neptune, when I say transit, the time, orbit actually I should say, orbit, the time it takes to go all the way around the sun. So the longest one is Pluto, about roughly 248 years, so it's a very long time. And since Pluto's been discovered, we've not actually been around long enough to see it go all the way around the sun, which means it would be hard to judge its, without looking at history anyway, in the time that we've known about it, you wouldn't be able to judge what it does in other signs throughout the zodiac, because relatively it's only moved from about here to about here in the time it was discovered nearly 100 years ago. So anyway, Uranus, also Neptune I should say, takes 165 years. So if you're lucky enough to live that long, you may see that go all the way around its orbit of the sun. But Neptune transits are very long. Uranus transits are more in line with the human lifespan, and they roughly take about 84 years to go all the way around. So every quarter station in your life, Uranus makes a square or opposition aspect, and that's quite significant. So if you're age 20, then it's going to make its first square. When you get to age 40 or 42, it's going to make the opposition. Age 63, it's going to make the last square, and then 84 is going to make the return. And you know, many people outlive 84 years, so carry on doing what Uranus does. Then Saturn is believe it or not, like the hour hand you could say on the clock, that takes 28 years to do a full orbit of the sun. Jupiter, it's starting to get a lot shorter now. You're talking about 12 years to do its full orbit of the sun. Mars is roughly about 2 years, and then once you get to Earth, where it's a year, it's much shorter with these planets. Like you're talking about 10 months, 8 months, but they basically move in line roughly with the Earth and never move without, 24 and 48 degrees respectively. So 24 or so degrees with Mercury, and I want to say 48 degrees or so with Venus, from wherever the Earth is positioned in its orbit around the sun. Anyway, people, that was some depth a little bit, without getting too deep, about how it all works together. Yeah, finish up with some scenery before you drop you on the final clip. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll be back soon with some more interesting astrology videos, facts, synchronicities, yeah, and insight and views from you, the viewers. Love being with you. Speak to you soon. Peace and blessings.